You're watching Samuel Goodwin on YouTube, and as you can see last week, the freestyle that I had worked out was actually harder to do than I thought, especially to get through all of it. So, since then, I have been working a different plan to try to get better and more precise so that I can do it. Part of that plan was to switch away from the fancy competition bimetal yo-yo and use something that's a little more difficult to play with. Not necessarily bad, but just less forgiving, I would say. For example, this is the YoyoFactory Betty Nova. It is the narrowest yo-yo I own. It is not a bimetal or anything. And that means that landing it on things is going to be a little more challenging than my much wider bimetals. And also, it's just not going to have as much excess power as a bimetal has, which means it'll be easier to notice when what I'm doing is causing it to slow down. Certainly, if you're precise enough, pretty much any modern unresponsive yo-yo should be able to do a really long combo that lasts a full minute. And I am just not that precise, so maybe that's what we need to work on. So with yo-yos like this, that are a little bit harder and a little bit less forgiving if you fudge things a little bit, if you make a little bit of mistake, if you're a little bit imprecise, I've been working all week trying to drill all of the individual elements and my tricks to make them more precise. Especially with something like this, you can really hear exactly where you're having a problem. Because if you do anything so that it's not quite in line, if the strings are a little bit crooked relative to the yo-yo or something, when you land somewhere or you do something, you can immediately hear it slow down. That makes it pretty quick to identify where you're having a problem and where you need to correct a bit and pay attention to exactly how you're holding your fingers or something so that you can be more precise. With the fancy bimetals, that's probably why they're like that, because in competition, things happen randomly no matter how much you practice, and you want something that will fudge through as much as possible and let you complete the trick. But for practice purposes, maybe it really is useful to have something that is not so forgiving and just helps to point out where you're making the mistakes in your practice. This is basically the same strategy I employ when I'm working on like music stuff, where you take the bits of the song that you're having trouble with, practice them over and over again, record them even so that you can compare your recording to maybe the original recording you're trying to learn or duplicate, which makes it a lot easier to identify where there's actually an issue that you maybe don't hear if you're just playing it on your own. So in the last week, I've been doing this for hours a day or whatever, and I found definitely some places where I could be a little more precise. I've gotten a lot more consistent with things like my jade whips and even jade whips that come after something, because if you do jade whip just by itself, that's not too bad, but doing it after you've finished up some other move, the yo-yo already has some momentum going to it, which makes it a little trickier, but it's something that you can get used to if you practice. I'm going to keep this up for the weekend and probably into next week, and hopefully actually get to where I can actually record the freestyle I was working on. So fingers crossed, and as soon as I get it, you're going to see it. If you're working on stuff yourself, you should totally let me know. You can't put links in YouTube comments, or YouTube will automatically mark your comment as spam and delete it before I have a chance to see it. So don't link it in the comments, but find me on Discord or something, and we can discuss. But I definitely want to see what you're working on, or at least I want to hear that you're working on something. Just let me know in the comments, and we can figure out a way to show that. Maybe we can do a little showcase video of what everyone is working on and show everyone working hard on something. That could be cool. Meanwhile, hopefully you're getting some sunlight this weekend, get a little fresh air, walk around a bit, do some exercise maybe, drink a whole bunch of water, and we'll see you next weekend.